HOG3 first cleaning, 10 days growth. Alright, so now we've gotten past the point of needing the shade cloth. The shade cloth was originally installed in the video before this, covering all the lights, and it seemed to be browning up pretty good. So I moved the shade cloth down to here, and this part started growing more. So that tells you that you can start moving the shade cloth down, and then after a few more days I moved it to here, and so this part became growing and this part was not. So that just told me to remove the shade cloth entirely. And so that's the situation here. But if you had pulled the shade cloth down and then it was not growing here, that tells you that you need to have it back up. It just depends on how many nutrients you have in the water. So this being the test tank, where food is still rotting on the bottom now for a couple months, it has plenty of nutrients, and so it's not a problem. Alright, so anyway, this is the first cleaning, where we're going to get the brown stuff off the rocks. Actually, the green stuff's already starting to grow, but for the purpose of showing how to use the toothbrush, we'll do this. Alright, so we'll just fold this down, and it just stays nice on here. So let's do this, and it acts like a little shelf right there, and the magnets keep attached to this. I might remind you that being the very thin glass here, these test hogs have weak magnets, so they don't crack the glass. There's only 2 magnets on here, but the actual one you would buy would be magnets all the way around for up to 5/8 inch glass or acrylic. So this is just a test with limited magnets, but you can see already, and these bubbles are not that strong. This is using one Fusion 700 pump. It's turned up all the way right now. You can see the bubbles a little bit more to the right hand side, and the green's already starting to fill in. And probably it would just fill in just fine, but we're going to go ahead and clean it. I don't know if you can see, there's lots of bubbles now attached to the algae. We'll get a close-up here about that. There's lots of micro bubbles attached to the brown algae. And I'm sure the focus is not great. So anyway, this has not been cleaned. This is from pure white. The strings are filling in just like the green grabber textures are. Alright. Alrighty. So now we will there we go. Here's an example of dark growth that let go. So you have a white spot right there where there was some initial dark growth and it let go, and then so it leaves a white spot. But that's to be expected because the first coating is going to be all slimy brown anyway. So you can also see, and you'll be able to see in the still pictures, how the top is darker than the bottom. That's because I pulled the shade cloth down and it turns out that it needed more light, and so this part grew first, and this part's catching up now, and it'll all be caught up by the time the next cleaning cycle comes along. Okay, so that's pretty much perfect for a first cleaning. Don't have to clean it now, but it'll be a good demonstration. Let's get the flashlight and give a close-up on that growth. Everyone always asks when to clean the first one and how long to wait and all that stuff. So here's what it looks like. No pods yet. You can see the water line at the top there where the bubbles, it's the water line where there's air at the top, so all the bubbles, all the growth stops right there for the most part. Okay. Regular toothbrush. This is the first cleaning, so some of the green grabber textures might come off. You might even lose a string or two because they're attached to the green grabber. So we put a couple extra, just so you'll end up with the right amount. And I see we have my water alarm. Always something. Okay, the important part here is make sure that your ventilation holes here, those are not clogged on both sides. And of course on the bottom, the holes there, and then your hole at the top. And then blow through the tube and make sure that bubbles are coming out. Okay, there's a little bit of dark stuff remaining, but that's gonna come off on its own as the green starts to fill in. Okay. Also, we did clean the glass once. You'll see in the still pictures, because the glass was blocking the view of the growth. So we'll just give it a quick once you get really strong green growth, then many times the green actually scrubs the glass like a brush when you have lots of strong bubbles, and so if many times you don't even have to clean the glass at all, it just scrubs itself clean. It's really neat when that happens. Alright, so that'll hold itself there. Check the bubbles. They seem to be fine, and of course once it fills in with thick growth, doesn't matter anyway, really left to right, because they're going to be rerouted. The bubbles are going to be rerouted through the growth. There we go. HOG3 second cleaning, 13 days growth. And I should have cleaned it a few days ago, but I couldn't get to it. Anyway, you can see it's tilted just to help the bubbles make their way up the middle. You can do that, that's no problem. And just the way that it is, there was a few more bubbles on the right, so I just tilted it to get the bubbles to go more up the middle. Anyway, it's filled in pretty good, considering there's just some chromis and one shrimp in this tank. And so going to go ahead and clean it out in the sink this time, and maybe the times after this I'll just pull the algae off of it. There we go. Kind of yellowish around here, that's fine. It's only the second cleaning, and there's not a lot of food here going in the tank, so. But it does hold pretty good onto the strings. It's almost all attached to the strings right there. Really attached. Good. So different installations will grow first on the strings, and other ones will have different chemistry and it'll grow first on the grain grabber textures. And so that's why this is good to have both. In these cases, this is obviously a small installation for the HOG3 compared to the HOG 1.3. So I don't think I've had an installation like this where it grew only green on the strings and then a slime yellow on the green grabber texture. But whatever the chemistry is, it just adjusts. This is kind of good because you'll have a lot of green left over, so I'm pulling on like a comb, trying to comb off this stuff here. I think next time I will certainly just pull it right out like I do with the surfs, just pull it up, and I won't waste any time doing this. So I'm going to clean the slime off the rocks, off the green grabber, because in order for green to attach to the textures, the slime has to be removed. So you either can remove it with a toothbrush or just wait until it naturally replaces. So I'm not going to get any more off of this. This is pretty is stuck pretty good. So we're trying to clean the yellow off of the textures. I'm not trying to get the green off of the strings. Also clean out the holes. My prediction is the green will spread to the rocks, to the green grabber texture on the next growth period. Clean the tubing off. Real important to clean the tubing. And for anybody that's had one of these running for a while and it gets a clog, that's not right here. In other words, the clog is in the tubing behind the texture. Well, then all you need to do is, after cleaning like this, take some vinegar, put it into a syringe, and just pump it into here, and it'll come through here, and just force it through. And of course, vinegar dissolves the lime buildup, and that's what you have behind there. Some tanks have a little bit, some tanks don't have any, but that will help clear it. And then just pump it through here, and it'll come out here. You should be able to do it with keeping this wet so you don't lose any of this, but it might take an hour or two. Anyway, you want to blow through here and make sure your tubings are open. Good enough. Still haven't done any cleaning on the tank, so food's still rotting in the bottom. I haven't cleaned any windows or glass or anything like that. Tell you what, I will clean the glass right now though. At least just the front here. If you had a goldfish or a tang or snails or whatever, you could let them have at it here, and they could eat for a couple hours, I suppose. That's half the fun of it sometimes, is letting them eat. I'm going to get a cleanup crew. I'm probably going to get a sand sifting goby or something for this to go along with the growth of this HOG3. Alright, bubbles look good. So I'll leave it straight up. It's pretty silent. With it all the way up like that, it's pretty silent. Bubbles are turned up all the way right now. I don't hear anything. Remember, this is just the 2 magnet version because I can't put all the magnets all the way around with this thin glass. HOG3, third cleaning, 7 days growth. This will probably be the last one. I think it served its purpose here and filled up with growth. And I just measured the nitrate at 1, and phosphate is 0.13. No water changes or anything else going on here. Still a lot of garbage piled up on the bottom. Just added a lawnmower blenny a couple days ago. It was just starting to eat up some stuff, but overall a lot of waste rotting. And the idea just to get this thing to grow. So let's see how it looks here with 7 days growth now. Let's see, let's turn off, or let's cover these lights so we can see what's going on. The bubbles are on full power from the Fusion 700 pump. I have not cleaned the glass at all, so there's a little bit of fogginess here because the growth hasn't made it down here yet, so there's nothing to brush the glass. But as you can see here, the glass is clean because the growth is full here and it's vibrating around. If you can see it, it's kind of like jello. So more bubbles would vibrate more, but this is doing pretty good. And the moving around causes the screen to be cleaned, or the glass to be cleaned. Put the flashlight on it here. Okay, so this time I'm not going to take it to the sink either. I'm just going to pull it out. The easiest way to harvest, if you don't have a lot of pods. If I do have pods in there now, they're not causing a problem. Not yet. All right. Need a cup. Alrighty, so we're just going to lift it up and see how it looks here. I'm going to tilt it backwards so the algae stays inside it. Looks pretty good. There we go. Sorry about that, ran out of card memory. So let's go back to this now. So there we go. It's just now starting to attach to the rocks. Primarily it looks like it's attached to the strings. Yeah, it's primarily attached to the strings. There we go. And that's all I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to put it right back. I'm not going to clean this either, so I'm just going to let this do its job, probably another 7 days, and it'll be ready to go again.